one of the roles that you play is as a father to two sons, two beautiful sons that I've seen on the internets. How do you create intention around the kind of men that you'd like to raise at a time like the time that we're in today?
So for me at this point in my life, it's about the role model that I am. So when I talk about intention for my sons, it is strictly about me creating and being the type of person that I want them to see. Um, and that's part of, me being a part of this nonprofit Six Cities Project is something that I started in small part because I wanted to do good in the world. And I wanted them to see that part. So that's how I approach this whole thing of fatherhood. Um, I think it's, I can talk all day. I can say different things, but I think what children do is they really do watch who you are and what you do. So to me, that is literally number one thing for me in my life.
What you mentioned was that you recognize the fact that in that role, there's a model. You have to role model for them what you'd like them to see because as a fellow parent, what what I know to be true is the talking only works when there's action behind it.
Right.
When there's a calibration between the words that come out of our mouth and what we show our children. So I commend you for understanding that and for choosing to do that with your sons.
Yeah. For me, I think, one of the most important jobs in the world is being a father, right? And, I have, one of my things is as I talk about that in terms of being a particular role model, I also understand that, as a role model, you know, personal development is extremely important for me. And so I am constantly trying to be better, as far as my character is concerned, as far as my, morals are concerned, as far as my integrity is concerned. And when I say that, it's not like I'm saying I don't have any of those things, but I do think you can always be better, right? In the way that people perceive you, and especially in the way that my sons perceive me. So I am always trying to get better every day. Me and my sons talk about that as well. So that to me is just so important.
It is. I'm a parent to two adult children, and I actually have grandchildren at this point. In the conversations that I've had with my children, one of the things that I recognized uh, is that hiding our own journey. And obviously, there are parts of our life we're not necessarily always going to share every single bit, depending on their age. And now I don't care what my kids know, but you know, um, it's important to share with them that there is a journey
Hmm.
and that we're on one. And because what it does for them is it helps them to understand that there's no such thing. They don't have to be perfect, like they're okay and they can be accepted as they are, and that there's room for us as human beings to evolve and to shift and to change and to course correct when there are behaviors that aren't in line with what we want because we're human beings,
Right.
you know? So I think that's very, very important for us to help our children to understand that behind even the words that we're saying, that there is this ability to grow and to evolve and to do things differently. And just because you get up in the morning thinking that blue is the right color, that you can actually change that, you know? Yeah.
And I'm sure you recognize this where, my kids are 11 and 12 right now.
Yeah,
So
babies.
I know. So they're in the middle of it, right? And so, a lot of our discussions right now are, the things, are junior high school, right? Like, and having the transition, like my oldest son just went from elementary to junior high, right? And the transition there. And then my youngest son, being in junior high without his brother, for example, or I'm sorry, elementary without his brother for the first time, and bullying and all these different things. So it's just, talking about those types of things. And it's the same, we have this thing called Donut Day. So every Sunday we go and we used to eat donuts. They're all healthy now, so they don't eat donuts anymore, which is, I know, right? But every Sunday we would go, and since my oldest son was 2 years old, I would take him to Starbucks. We'd have donuts. I drink coffee because I love coffee, and we'd have a conversation. And it was so interesting because this was when my youngest son he was only one, right? But I would have these conversations with them as if they were, older. And so we've been doing that every Sunday since that time. So it's been very interesting because they've been able to see my journey, right? They've been able to see that journey, and I'm very upfront and open with them about where I'm at in life. And I've been able to kind of help them and walk them through their journeys as well because they see mine. So it's like this honesty thing, right? It's this that I feel like we have together, which has been awesome to see.
Yeah, there's an authenticity that I think is so important to the future of your relationship with your sons. Because
Hmm.
when we raise our children, and not, we don't intend to be inauthentic, but when you raise your children hiding yourself from your children, then they can't see, they rely on us to be able to see parts of themselves. And if we hide those parts from them, then it's almost like cutting off their ability to see themselves in us or to see us in them.
Yeah. And I've always looked at that. I don't know where I felt this very early on. And I think maybe I heard it from someone, but I think I've always understood for myself that, like, kids see all the things that you don't think they see. Right. So when I early on as a father, I really recognized that, I can't hide anything from them because they're going to see that. So the whole idea of trying to hide parts of myself or trying to hide things from them, I think would be more impactful in their lives, right, than the things I show them up front.
That's right.
So I have, like, for them, my life is an open book to them. And so, and that's why my whole life is configured in a way where, with the nonprofit and all the work that I do and the things that I do, in a way where they're able to see, and they're able to see my path and what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish and the man that I am. So
Yeah.